You're listening to a Cult Talk Network podcast.
File access granted.
Welcome, all you believers, skeptics, idealists, all those who question the world around them. I'm Ty.
And I'm Bailey.
And this is Cult Talks Conspiracy. And happy Pride Month, everybody.
Yay!
Coming up here soon. This is our Pride Month, I guess, special, if we wanted to call it that. This is our last episode before Pride Month, because all through Pride Month, we will actually be doing the first part of our little in-series, Summer at Sea. We're setting sail.
Yes.
Starting June 13th, as you've probably heard prior to this episode. So I figured one last stop before Pride Month, and I wanted to make it a little gay, if I could. So that's what I decided to do. So yeah, we're talking about the gay agenda.
Oh, wow.
Double agendas.
Double
in
agendas.
this. Double agendas.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is going to be interesting. We're going to talk about the entire history of where the gay agenda comes from in America. I'm not going global. Maybe I'll do that next year. But this year, we're just talking about here in the United States.
Sweet. Okay.
Yeah. So, Bailey, do you celebrate Pride Month? How do you feel about the gays?
Oh, they're nice. I really
They're
like
nice?
them. Yes, they're sweet. So, like, my stance is like, love whoever you want. Just don't be a shitty person. Like,
That's not bad. That's not
yeah,
bad.
like, kindness is free. Like, do what you can for one another. We're all in this together. But yeah, as long as you're not hurting anybody and it's a consensual and all that, like, love whoever you want. I don't care. It's none of my business. But
Do you have your pride tree up yet?
there's such thing as a pride tree.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like Christmas. Wow.
So you
That's-
don't have your pride
I
tree
don't have a pride tree. We might have to rectify this situation.
Yeah, you might have to.
I've actually never been to a pride, which is
Oh,
really surprising because
they're pretty fun.
I heard Columbus is like the second biggest. Like it's
pretty big.
one of the biggest.
It's a pretty good time. It's pretty fun up there.
Yeah, a lot of my friends and whatnot have been,
Yeah.
but I want to go. So-
It's fun. I highly recommend it to anyone. It's a good time. Columbus Pride is quite enjoyable.
Mhm.
But yeah, talking about gay stuff here, and this might come across maybe a controversial topic, because the gay agenda, it does deal with some heavy stuff. As much as we're going to make light of it, there are some heavy topics in it. But the most important thing is, when it comes to controversial topics, it's always good to educate on them rather than ignore them. Get your idea of where these things come from. I think that helps decipher whether or not it's something a belief you want to partake in. Usually, if you look at the history of something, you can kind of get the idea of, maybe I don't want to be a part of that. And maybe that's what we're going to do here, is talk about some of the people and the circumstances where the gay agenda kind of came from.
Okay. Very interesting. I'm very interested to hear more about this, because I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of what is and isn't the gay agenda kind of going around right now. And that's also what makes it a conspiracy theory. So I'm very interested to hear the history of it and, learn more about it.
Yeah, of course. I think that's very important, is for people to kind of get understanding of what is the gay agenda, where did it come from,
Mhm.
who are the people behind it,
Yeah.
things like that. That's always very important. So that's kind of what I wanted to do here with this episode. So without further ado, if you're ready, Bailey,
Yes.
we can get ready to unseal this file 019, Out of the Closet, the history of the gay agenda in America. All right. So all my fellow LGBTQ co-conspirators are probably a little upset that I'm going to expose us here in this episode. I'm going to let everyone in on our dirty secrets, our evil plots to destroy the United States. And I apologize, but I feel like these ignorant straights might need to hear the truth. I'm gonna let you guys in on the secret that is the gay agenda because it's pretty shocking, or so some people think. The gay agenda is a term that I'm sure we've all heard multiple occasions and often in a satirical manner. Likely because, as often what happens with words created to belittle or demonize a group of people, the best way to remove that effect is for that group to reappropriate that term and put satire in it. You take the power out of it, because if there's a term or a word that's used to belittle and you give it, words only have as much power as you allow them to have.
Yes.
The N-bomb, the dreaded N-bomb, the big one. We hear that used a lot to deter, to kind of hurt people. But that group of people has taken that word and made it their own, and a little bit of power went out of it. Same with words that are used in the gay community. The big one, faggot, is a word that was created to harm people and make little and light of people, but we have taken that word and it's used in a pretty casual way amongst people in the LGBTQ community. And it's kind of a fun word, as much as I hate to admit it. It's a fun word to say when you're hanging around your other queer friends. It's a fun word to say.
I think the origin of the word actually is a cigarette butt.
It goes all over the place. I know South Park did a really good episode way back early on in the South Park series run. They did an episode on the F-bomb, on faggot, and all the different meanings it had, and how it kind of like evolved. Like at one point, it's like a bundle of sticks. I think it was at one point used to refer to like elderly people. I mean, it's a word that's kind of evolved.
Weird.
Yeah, words can only mean and have as much power as they're granted. And that's why I always find it funny when they're just like these buzzwords. Like, you can't say that. Say them and take the power out of them. So that's how you. That's the only reason that they hurt is because you allow them to hurt.
Right. It's the same thing with cursing and whatnot. And
of course.
And I mean adults cursing. I'm not saying like teach little Jimmy how to swear. Like that's no.
Kids cursing is always funny.
It's funny. It's funny whether or not it's
it's funny.
It's something you break out in front of grandma. I don't know.
Right. Unless she's a cool grandma.
Yeah, she's got to be a cool grandma. Yeah, you got me there.
Now, a good example of reappropriating the gay agenda term during the 2021 MTV Music Awards, openly gay rapper Lil Nas X thanked the gay agenda during his acceptance speech. The LGBT political representation group, Agenda PAC, PAC, which stands for Political Action Committee, cited the gay agenda as inspiration for its formation. It took the idea of like the gay agenda as a term. They decided we will take that term and we're going to make it our own thing. And we are gay and we do have an agenda. It just might not be what the agenda was originally created as. But where did this term come from? Well, the term was popularized by the evangelical group Spring of Life Ministries. Tucked away in Antelope Valley, California, this church was at one time notable for allowing TV evangelist Jim Bakker to be reordained, who at the time was deeply rooted in a scandal with his PTL club. Praise the Lord Club is what that stands for. I don't know if you know much about the Bakkers.
No.
Tina Fey Baker and Jim Bakker. Really good show on HBO about the Bakkers. It's very interesting. They're an interesting couple. They were very big in the 80s and the 70s. These televangelists who just shockingly, as no one has ever heard of, these televangelists turn out to be huge pieces of shit, which that's always a shock when you find out that these religious people who are on TV getting poor folks to donate mass amounts of money turn out to be not the most trusting people. It's always a shocker to me.
Yeah.
So Jim Bakker. Jim Bakker was at this time, he was being not only accused but convicted of diverting millions, that's right, millions, not thousands, millions of dollars of money raised through fundraisers and donations to his personal account. So all this stuff's going on. This church, Spring of Life, we're like, don't worry about it. We'll reordain you. You're still a pastor because you're a good guy deep down. Everyone makes mistakes.
Okay. Like, that's
Now,
jeez, Pete. Oh man.
it always blows my mind. It's like, I get it, forgiveness, turn the other cheek, but there's got to be a limit at a certain point.
Mhm.
When someone abuses their power that greatly, you got to take a step back and be like, maybe this person's not the most trusting person to have a part of our union.
Mhm.
But I digress. Now, this millions of dollars was used to fuel this amazing lavish lifestyle the Bakers had at this time. I mean, they were on yachts and private jets and compounds and mansions and having these gigantic dinner parties with the celebrities and musicians. And all that money that was used to do this was money that people were giving them to fuel their ministry.
Oh my gosh. So these people are just thinking that their money's going towards saving others and spreading the word and whatnot. Oh, that's sickening.
I think Praise the Lord, if I recall, Praise the Lord, the PTL club. I think it was like you were donating money and it was going to like building churches and like poor countries or feeding people who were being affected by natural disasters, homeless shelters, all that stuff. That's what you think you're donating your money to. Grandma's writing these $100 checks to the Bakers, thinking it's doing some good, and really it's buying Jim Baker a new pair of Gucci slippers.
Mm-hmm.
So during the 1980s, the church exploded in popularity. I think, I don't know if it was because or maybe just like around the time that they had Jim Baker involved, because he was very, very big deal. He was kind of like a evangelical celebrity, I guess. Now, they exploded and they had up to, at one point, they peaked at 1,500 members.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a pretty big church. It was just a little church in the middle of California.
Jeez. So it was like standing room only in this little church.
Yeah, it was pretty big deal. It was a big deal around this area of California. Now, as popularity exploded, they began to get interest in cable television. The 80s and 90s, I would probably 70s as well, was like a huge time for televangelism. I think you still see televangelism a lot, but I don't think it's as big a deal as it once was. Because around this time, like televangelists were like celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
I think you still see it like Joel Osteen is still pretty big. I think Billy Graham is still around, maybe. I don't know if he's dead yet or not, but if he's still around, I'm sure he's still big. But I know Joel Osteen is like the biggest televangelist I know of. In 1990, they produced their first episode of The Report, A Righteous Perspective. This was produced by sportscaster Bill Horn and broadcast from the sanctuary of Spring of Life. And their sanctuary, I guess the stage is what you'd call it. Mm-hmm. It was pretty much designed to be a TV talk show stage, basically. I mean, it was huge things of lights, the fake plants, the comfy chairs, the big nice backdrop. Like it was designed when they put together, they were like, we're going to shoot TV here at some point.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Now, this is a weekly talk show that hosted an array of special guests, and they all had a heavy focus on the topics of homosexuality and the ongoing AIDS epidemic.
Okay.
Now, their stance was very simple. It was disgusting sexual addiction, not an alternate lifestyle. That was their stance. This was a disease, not an alternate lifestyle. You didn't just become gay, you were infected by gay. That was it. It was disease. It was a disease. You didn't just, it wasn't a decision any right-minded person would make. You were obviously infected with something to make you choose, or not to choose, but to force you into this lifestyle. Now, around this time, California was host to a very hostile debate over legislation looking to protect gay civil rights.
Mhm.
Bill Horn purchased amateur footage of a gay pride parade and used it to edit a 12-minute segment to be aired on the report as a response to this debate. Now, the footage he purchased, he didn't go out and shoot it, or he didn't have anyone shoot it. He purchased some amateur footage, and this kind of added to like the seedy aspect of it. You know, it was someone's home video footage. They were at a pride parade, and he used this like footage to make this very taboo and seedy look to represent the gay community. The segment shocked the audience. I tried to find it online, couldn't find it online, but apparently it was very grotesque. He held back nothing. He used images of people in fetish wear. He cut in some gay pornography in there for a little spice. And this was all shown on his Christian talk show. Just,
my gosh.
Hey, here's what the gays are about. And it was just people in leather gear. And he put some gay pornography in there. And it was just a very, very vulgar depiction of the gay community.
Yeah. I mean, when you're trying to demonize something, you're going to use like the absolute worst of the worst. They're not going to bring up, you know, the lawyer that's afraid to come out of the closet because of people like this and taking it too far.
No, you're not going to use the footage of the upstanding gay couple looking to adopt, or you know, the like I said, the gay lawyer or the gay police officer. You're not going to use that kind of stuff because that demands a certain amount of respect, which they're wanting to you know, exhibit the opposite. Now, this was titled "Sexual Orientation or Sexual Deviation. You decide," and it did capture the intended reaction. The segment was so effective in its agenda that it was produced onto 8,000 VHS copies and distributed all throughout the state of California.
I wonder if some of
that video was shot. What's that?
I wonder if some of that multi-million actually paid for that. Like,
I'm sure it did. I mean, I almost guarantee it.
Let me just dip into this.
Yeah, because I mean, I can't imagine tapes were that expensive to produce back in the day. And I doubt they were like, it was a 12-minute long segment. So it was probably a pretty cheap endeavor. Now, this video was shown at a meeting for the Palmdale City Council, the local city council for the area where the Spring of Life was located. Now, after this showing, the council voted unanimously on the bill opposing all gay civil rights in their city. The gays have no civil rights in Palmdale, California, was the verdict after the showing of sexual orientation or sexual deviation. Now, this was a major success for Spring of Life and Bill Horn. And they decided from that point on, this was their thing. Bill Horn immediately quit his sportscasting job, and he went on to work full-time at the church. And he was receiving so many orders for the tape that they canceled all production on the report. So they canceled their show. They're like, we're not doing the show anymore. We are focusing solely on producing these VHS tapes.
Oh, no.
That's our job now. So they invested pretty heavily into this. Church members were basically recruited to be trained to use video cameras.
Oh, my.
And they were sent to gay hotspots in West Hollywood, San Francisco, and New York to go secretly undercover to capture videos of sex acts, fetish parties, and pride parades. This was all so the footage could be used to produce a series of videotapes. Now, the second tape in this was titled "Civil Rights or Crisis in America," which, much like the original tape, generated a large number of sales for the church. This, of course, spurred production on a third video, which was released in 1992. And this third video was titled "The Gay Agenda." Bill Horn, in an interview, alluded that tens of thousands of copies of this tape were ordered.
Oh, my.
Yeah. It was a bestseller for him. The Gay Agenda proved to be the highest selling tape they ever produced. Now, this tape We know the first one was printed on 8,000 copies and sent all over California. Well, this tape got distributed to the United States Congress,
Mm.
the legislature of the federal government, and it found its way in the hands of the Joint Chiefs of Staff,
Oh, God.
who have direct advisement to the President of the United States. That's how popular this tape was. It was
Oh.
making its way up into like the highest offices of the political world. Now, a lot of this was thanks to Marine Corps Commandant Carl Mundy Jr. At the time, Mundy was a very big opponent of LGBT peoples, especially those who wished to fight for their country by serving in the military.
Mm-hmm.
And he helped shape Department of Defense Directive 1304 26, or as it would be more commonly known, Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Yep.
Are you familiar with Don't Ask, Don't Tell?
Vaguely, not 100% on the history. I know what it is,
Okay.
though.
Yeah, DADT is what it's referred to as. I remember I was really young hearing about this on the news all the time. When I think it was like before I was even in school. I think you're at home watching the news with your grandparents, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I remember hearing a lot about DADT. Now, for those of you who don't know, this directive restricted military personnel from proclaiming their homosexuality or exhibiting what they called homosexual behaviors, or they would have their service terminated. Now, this directive went into effect February of 1994, and it wasn't repealed until September of 2011. So it ran for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
a lot longer than I thought it was. So this thing ran for almost...
I mean,
almost
it's only been
20-some
12
years.
years ago. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's... Whew.
So it ran for a while. Now, the reasoning for the implementation of DADT, that those who engage in homosexual acts would create an unacceptable risk to the high standards of morale and discipline upheld by the military. Now, this falls into line with the supposed gay agenda perpetuated in the Spring of Life film series. The agenda laid out in those videos was that homosexuality is a disease intent on poisoning the moral fabric of good Christian ideals. Good Christian ideals, for what it's worth, are kind of like a basis of a lot of military, I guess a lot of military disciplines are kind of like religious based, or not religious based, but they do fall in line with
With faith.
Christian beliefs. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have opinions. I just... when you talk about like the morale and upsetting like basically the way that it looks, and don't get me wrong, there is a military code. There is a certain way that you do need to present yourself.
There is.
I'm not objectifying that, or I'm not objecting with that. But what I'm saying is it should be taken from a person-to-person basis and not lumped together in a group.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, because what this is saying basically is that anyone who is homosexual,
Mm-hmm.
No matter who they are, if they enter the military, they will immediately disrupt the moral fiber of the military.
And I mean, in reality, what you're going to disrupt is you're going to disrupt the work that's being done by the military, because now all of a sudden, like I would feel like there would be someone like watching over my shoulder, and that kind of is the vibe that it's putting off. So, I mean, I don't know. It feels kind of more like you're disrupting the workers. You're not disrupting the progress,
Yeah, because there was even, I don't have it wrote down, but the way it worked in DADT is basically you and I are hanging out,
mm-hmm.
and you mention something that I perceive to be homosexual behavior.
Mm-hmm.
If you say something that all it has to be is something that I interpret. It doesn't have to be anything blatant. Like, you don't have to say anything blatantly gay. It's something that I interpret as being possibly gay.
Mm-hmm.
I go to a high commanding officer and I say, hey, Bailey said something that sounded gay.
Mm-hmm.
they basically immediately put you on hold while that's investigated. So there you've disrupted the flow of things. And that's what it was. Like, this was a big deal apparently, where they were like, we have to do this. Now, there was clauses in this, like obviously, like if a 5-star general says something, they're not going to like throw him out. There was stuff like that in there where it was kind of taken on a person by person basis, and things like rank and experience were taken into account. Who reported it, why they may have reported it. So there was stuff like that, luckily, that was in place. Still, pretty shitty thing, because I know several people in the homosexual persuasion who have served military, and they're great people. And I think obviously it's not everyone, but it was something that was a big deal in the 90s. Now, while speaking with President Bill Clinton and the Joint Chiefs of Staff in 1993, Carl Mundy Jr., he stated, "For a person to proclaim I'm gay is the same as saying I'm KKK, I'm Nazi, or I'm a rapist. It's all the same." According to Carl Mundy,
You gonna
who
get
also
me mad. You gonna get me so mad.
Carl Mundy, huge piece of shit. He also didn't believe that African American soldiers he believed that African American soldiers were less valuable than white soldiers. That was a belief he held.
Oh my God, Jesus.
That a African American soldier could not achieve the same success as a white soldier.
And he was like serving in the office.
He was a pretty big deal. Like, he was a pretty big deal. Like, he's a Medal of Honor winner and all this stuff, but or not Medal of Honor. No, he didn't win Medal of Honor. He didn't win Medal of Honor.
But like he's serving at the same time that Bill Clinton was president. So I mean,
yeah, he got to speak directly with Bill Clinton. Like, he worked his way up.
First of all, I hate it when people throw around the word Nazi. I
know.
really
hate
it.
I hate when anyone throws around any three of those things: KKK, Nazi, or rapist. I think those are all three things you shouldn't just toss around with a quickness. But now, the 90s were a tumultuous time in American history, as underrepresented social groups demanded their civil rights. This is something you saw a lot. You had things like the African American community standing up against police brutality. You had just all these immigrants and stuff who were finally saying, like, we're in this country and we want the same respect as everyone else. But this wouldn't be much different from the decades that preceded or even followed, because it's still something we see today. I mean, it's still very, very, very tumultuous time. And I think it always will be. I don't think that, as long as, because that's kind of the I guess what America is about, basically. We're all, it's the melting pot.
Yeah.
There's all these groups, and I don't think everyone will get along, but it's all about coexisting, and that's not very not really a human behavior. So
I think on a personal level, and this is going to sound a little philosophical, and that's okay, but I think for as long as we have hate in the world and we have people that just hold on to hatred and hold on to, these bad thoughts and these bad images based on things that people can't control, like the color of their skin, their gender, or, even being gay, and I'm not going to say whether or not you can control that. Don't even start. Nope, not touching it. But I think for as long as we have people that still hold that hatred in themselves for those, and like don't focus on why they hold that hatred, as a person, definitely. I think we're always going to have those problems.
It definitely does take some internal exploration to overcome a lot of this stuff. Now, although popularized by Bill Horn and Spring of Life, the gay agenda's history in the United States goes back further than that. In the 1950s, U.S. Senator Bill McCarthy claimed that Franklin D. Roosevelt and Harry S. Truman, along with those in their administrations, were secretly communists, intent on infiltrating and destroying America. These claims were backed up by no evidence whatsoever, but McCarthy didn't let that stop him from proclaiming them in any public forum he could. This is what would become known as McCarthyism, Now, this is a term I'm sure a lot of people have heard. I remember hearing a lot about it in history. McCarthyism, and it was effective in varying degrees. So McCarthyism, what this was during the Red Scare, where everyone was just afraid of communists. And Joe McCarthy had no problem. If he didn't like somebody, he would just say, "That's a communist." And if you're saying something like that in a public forum, a lot of people will be like, they must obviously have some evidence to be saying that serious of a thing in public like that.
Oh, fuck no. That has been
Right.
going on forever. Like, look at the
Right.
fucking Salem witch trials. Like,
Exactly,
it's been going on forever.
And that's what it was. During the Red Scare, it was much like the Salem witch trials, because everyone was hunting for communists. They were so afraid, and we've talked about this time period a lot.
Mm-hmm.
This is Cold War era.
Oh, yeah.
And we've covered this a lot in Cult Talk Conspiracy. Very scary, very volatile, just a crazy time to be alive. A lot like today. Today's getting a lot like that.
That's crazy.
Now, everyone was so on edge that it was legitimately a witch hunt, and they were hunting communists. Now, this wasn't solely. We know this time period mostly about the communist stuff, but there was a lot of things that were taking place around this time. They weren't just hunting communists. They were hunting all sorts of people of different nationalities. I think Jews got targeted at certain points. They were just so afraid of all this different stuff. Now, there was an attempt to out homosexuals. And the term used for that was Hominterm. HOMINTERN. This was a send-off of the word Comintern, which was the abbreviation for Communist International.
Oh.
So they took Comintern. They're like, Hominterm, homosexual international. Now, the Comintern was a supposed organization that sought global communism.
Mm-hmm.
Off of that, you can kind of gather what the supposed Hominterm represented. It would be a group of an organization who sought global homosexuality.
Okay.
This mostly appeared in conservative magazines in the 1950s, 1960s. And one of the claims in these publications was that Hominterm was encouraging homosexuality through camp programming. Are you aware of the term camp, Bailey?
Term camps?
Not internment camp. The word camp.
like the word camp? But you mean like summer camp? Like,
no, you don't know what camp is?
No.
Okay. So camp is best described as a artistic aesthetic that disrupts the idea of what is accepted as normal.
Okay.
It's sometimes noted for its ironic value or promotion of things that others might classify as being in bad taste.
Mm-hmm.
As an art form, drag queens could be classified as camp.
Mm-hmm.
In cinema, the films of John Waters could be considered camp. I don't know if you've ever think of John Waters stuff. I have a magazine with John Waters' face on it here in my living room. Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes.
That'd be camp.
Yes.
That would be something you could call camp. Popular examples in modern day, like I said, Rocky Horror Picture Show or Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga would be considered camp. Some of her stuff. One of my personal favorite examples would be Amy Sedaris' TV show, Strangers with Candy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've probably never seen that. That was a good one.
I haven't
That's one of my favorite camp shows.
I'm looking at some of John Waters' film. I didn't know he did Hairspray. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's Crybaby. Oh, Crybaby's a good one.
Yeah, they just had this like really colorful kind of like aesthetic to them. Strangers with Candy was one of my favorite shows to catch on Comedy Central back in the day. It was Amy Sedaris, and it was basically a spoof of the after school specials from like the 70s. I love that show so much. Miss it. Now, during the 1960s, the target of this anti-homosexual attack was that of the Batman TV series.
Okay.
This was what these conservatives are like. This is poison to our country.
Why?
Featuring flamboyant characters, men in tight-fitting costumes, and bright collars, it was symbolic of everything these people saw as tools of the Comintern agenda.
I have to see this now. Hang on.
Oh, Batman TV series. That was out of all the things I read. Because I'll be totally honest, I don't watch a lot of gay programming or queer programming at all. The Batman TV series was something that we had TV land when I was a kid. I loved Adam West and Burt Ward in the Batman TV series so much.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what turned me gay, was watching the Batman TV series when I was a kid.
Oh my gosh.
Goddamn TV land.
Hey, I watched a lot of TV land, and I mean, it's fine. Like, I don't know. Maybe there's something in the water.
Maybe.
The
Comintern agenda was sometimes referred to as the Lavender Conspiracy. Now, the Lavender Conspiracy was a global network that decided who in the entertainment world got to see success by pledging themselves to the evil homosexuals. Chilling stuff.
Oh my God.
I told you this is going to be a heavy one. What scared members of the anti-gay conservative groups most about the Batman TV series was its targeted audience. We've established that a large part of the belief of the gay agenda is its intent on destroying America. Our most sacred ceremonies, marriage, our military, our politicians, our entertainment. But what better way to take down a country than to target its future? Our children. Semi-successful singer Anita Bryant, who saw her single Paper Roses, never heard of it, reach number 5 on the U.S. Top 20 in 1960, formed the political coalition Save Our Children Incorporated. Now, this was a very personal decision by Anita and was championed by her followers. Have you ever heard Paper Roses?
No.
Never have I. I couldn't find it. She had top 5 in 1960, so I don't know. Maybe 1960 wasn't a great year for music. But she saw success there.
Just the one hit?
Formed.
Just the one hit?
What's that?
Just the one hit?
She had a couple other songs, but number 5 was Repeat.
Oh, okay.
Peaked at Paper Roses.
Okay.
Paper Roses was her big track.
All right. Awesome.
Formed in Miami, Florida in 1977, the coalition is recognized for being the first officially organized LGBT rights opposition movement. There had been groups that opposed gay culture in the past, Stonewall, things like that. This was the very first organized movement, the first organized group. I mean, this was incorporated. Save Our Children Incorporated. But what rights were they opposing? Earlier that year, Miami, Florida had legislated an ordinance. This ordinance banned discrimination regarding housing, employment, and public accommodations based on sexual orientation.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a pretty good ordinance, right? I mean, you can't be a shitty person because someone's gay.
Yeah.
Well, it pissed Anita off because no one took into account that this ordinance, to what she claimed, this ordinance would keep her from teaching her kids biblical morality. How am I supposed to teach my kids if I can't be shitty to these fags? Is what she might have said. I can't find a quote on that, but I imagine maybe something along those lines. Unfortunately for Miami and its LGBT community, it would prove to be a major mistake. Yeah. Anita and her coalition were overwhelmingly successful. The ordinance was defeated by 70%.
Oh, shite.
Yeah, you don't fuck with top 5 US 1960 pop sensation Anita Bryant.
Oh, God.
When Yeah, you queers will not keep her from teaching her kids how to be shitty people.
Wait, it won?
Yeah, it won.
It won. Oh
Yeah,
my god.
No, she beat it. She kept it from passing. She kept that from happening. Her kids need to learn how to be shitty people, and she was going to do whatever she
Oh
had to.
man.
Yeah, so in Miami at this time, you could discriminate against gay people any realm you wanted to, thanks to Paper Roses singer Anita Bryant.
That just like today talking about it, like it obviously it feels like morally wrong because like I literally, going through school and everything like that, like we learn about, discrimination and all that. And sexual orientation is like one of, the top three that gets mentioned.
Right.
It's sex, race, religion, and sexual orientation. Like,
Well, not in the 70s in Miami, Florida, it wasn't. In response to this victory that Anita was a major part of, she stated that this victory was a huge win for America's children, as she believed homosexuals cannot reproduce, so they must recruit the youth of America. See, gays can't reproduce, so they gotta spread this disease somewhere. They gotta hook it into the kids.
we gotta build the army.
Yeah, we gotta build this gay army, and we're gonna take your straight kids and turn them gay.
Oh God.
These views have become, and since continued to be, a major belief of LGBT opposition. In 2020, this became a more prominent part of the gay agenda when the concept of gay grooming became popularized. This is a concept that, as the growing trend of LGBT inclusion becomes more prominent in various forms of media and different things, TV shows, movies, it's believed this is actually an attempt to alter the minds of young children in order to teach them to grow up gay so they can recruit them. This concept was popularized on TikTok, of all places, which, if you're going to base your views on things,
Why not
starting
go to
at TikTok is not.
Let's go to TikTok.
Let's go to TikTok.
Get our core values from TikTok. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good place to start. Just start at TikTok.
Jeez. See, the foundation's broken. Like that's yeah.
Yeah, I know the name of the TikTok. I'm not going to mention it here. It's a shitty channel, and it's a pretty fucking ridiculous claim. The concept was very, very popular and quickly accepted by mainstream conservative media and some members of the Republican political party. The concept was so popular that between March 17th, 2022, and April 6th, 2022, Fox News ran 170 segments promoting it.
Oh my God.
That's a 20-day period with an average of 8.5 segments a day. That's crazy. From something that started on TikTok.
I mean,
they decided we're going to run with this.
It's Fox News, though.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, Tucker Carlson, that piece of shit, he had the people of the TikTok channel actually on his show. Like, that's news.
Mm-hmm. Like, it's ridiculous. But that's honestly, it's all news channels today. Like, let's be real.
For sure. I don't get my news from anything I watch on TV.
Like, they're all biased.
I get all my news from TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. They're all biased. They're all lining their pockets with something.
That's the most frustrating thing too. The gay agenda. I'll talk about at the end. The whole gay agenda is just very frustrating in general, but we'll save it for the end here. Now, of all the elements that make up the gay agenda, I find this the most frustrating on a personal level. Mm-hmm. Sexual grooming of minors is a concept that does indeed exist. It can be seen throughout history. It's likely happened at the hands of homosexuals and heterosexual people. I'd say it's happened in both. Has it happened more so in homosexual people or heterosexual people? Probably not. It's a concept that has just been around. The concept of grooming is not a matter of sexual orientation, but rather a matter of sexual perversion by people who take advantage of their positions over minors.
Mhm.
So it's not a gay thing. It's not a straight thing. It's just a fucking piece of shit thing.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's been around forever. I mean, you can look at cases of grooming. I think there was that one at camp very recently of the youth pastor who had this girl in his youth group since she was like 15, and they decided they were going to start dating when she's 18. That's grooming. Yeah, that's fucking grooming.
Shit, that's nasty.
Yeah, and that's a thing that they shared. Like it was some like romantic love story. That's not a love story. That's grooming.
That's
An adult cannot find a minor and be like, "We're gonna date, and I'm gonna make sure it happens." That's grooming. Things with teachers. We've seen it a lot in the past of students and teachers. That's a example of grooming, and it's not necessarily a straight or a gay thing. It's just a fucking sick thing. Now, despite the popularization of the term groomer, which to this point is categorized as parents, teachers, or other individuals who support the sexual education and orientation of any person under the age of 18. That is what these people have decided is the term for a groomer. Mm-hmm. If there is someone who you decide, if there's an underage or a minor who wants to learn more about sexual orientation and you support that, you have groomed that child, is what they're saying.
So, like, not even just educating them.
Educate, yes.
Okay. Do they say teachers, how they're educating them? Like, is it like
there's even, I'll give you some examples here. So teachers are considered to be a major example of a groomer.
Mm-hmm.
In Michigan recently, there was a library that was defunded because it was considered a grooming center because they had books on sexual education that included homosexual education, and they refused to remove them. So therefore, they were considered a grooming center, and they were defunded. So it's not even anything like perverse.
Were the books in the kids section?
No, it's just a sexual education book.
Okay.
That explained homosexual sex.
Very interesting.
And because they refused to remove that, they were considered a grooming center.
I mean, that's a step over the line. That's for sure.
The whole grooming concept is over the line, in my opinion, but that's my opinion.
I mean, at that point,
there you have to take into account, I guess, the context of things.
Yes, absolutely, yes. Yeah, and you definitely need to know the context. You definitely need to know, I think I really want to know what they mean by education. Because, I mean, if it's, and I mean, I don't.
Well, the idea here is, this is a agenda perpetuated by mainly Christian evangelists. Mm-hmm. The idea is that everyone should be of straight orientation.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're entertaining the idea of someone, a minor, wanting to learn more about homosexual relations,
mm-hmm.
rather than saying, "Hey, no, read a Bible," you've groomed that child to be a homosexual. That's the concept.
Oh, that's wrong on a lot of levels.
It is on a lot of different levels.
I mean, first of all, context of the minor.
Yes.
Yes. Is that we're gonna call it the minor? Is that minor old enough to, start thinking about things like this? And by that I mean
absolutely.
And by that I mean
that is all stuff you must take into account.
Yeah, and by that I mean, have they hit puberty yet? Are they,
right.
in middle school or high school where they're starting to gain more world experience and things of that nature? Also,
now there was a study done this year that 45% of conservative voters believe that teachers are groomers.
Based off what?
People in the education field. That's a study that was done on conservative voters. They poll that 45% of conservative voters believe that teachers are groomers.
Interesting.
Homeschool your kids, I guess.
No.
Teach them all the shit you want them to learn. Now, no evidence was ever given to say homosexuals or homosexuality was any more dangerous to the youth of America than any other sexual orientation, and all the reporting that Fox News did. Now, as mentioned, a lot of criticism has came from the recent trend of including LGBT characters in prominent roles across film and television. This includes media geared toward a younger audience. This, again, is something I find very frustrating. Do I agree with the inclusion of LGBT characters? Yeah, I do. Is there sometimes it crossed the line when it's in Disney's case? Yes, a lot of it, because I know a lot of gay people will not like to hear this. Disney doesn't give a shit about gay people. They don't. They see dollar signs, little rainbow colored dollar signs, and I don't agree at all with these characters being ham-fisted into media. I think that gay characters are absolutely fine to be in media, but make it make sense. Don't just cram someone in there and give them an arrow over their head that says this person's gay. Make it make sense. That's all I'm asking.
Let it flow naturally.
Let it flow naturally. I know I'm not a big proponent of good storytelling, but you can fit a gay character in some A/B efficient storytelling and make it make sense.
I mean, they do it all the time with straight couples. Like, let's be real.
Exactly. That's one of the arguments too. I always have people are like, you can't have gay people in this. Well, you have plenty of straight people in it. Like, there's never an issue before. That I always find that frustrating. I hate when Disney makes such a big deal about this has a gay character in it, but it's just because they just want to make some money.
Yes,
that's all it is. It's heartless and it's soulless, and it shows. That's my little rant there. I think gay characters absolutely should be included in media. Inclusion is very important, but just make it make sense.
Yes,
and don't ham-fist it.
Yes,
be good. Be coy about it. Make it flow. Make it good. But despite the inability to provoke any real evidence that homosexuals look to turn heterosexual youth gay, this did not deter far-right groups such as the Proud Boys, who are gigantic pieces of shit, from adopting the concept as fact. A study of social media platform Twitter reported a 400% increase in activity claiming members of the LGBT community were groomers.
Oh.
Many of the arguments for the concept of gay grooming aligned with conspiracy theories like Pizzagate or QAnon, which are built on lies, and they choose the idea of promoting fear and anger and panic over facts. It's not so much about facts or giving any real concrete evidence. It's about inciting an emotion.
Yeah.
Now, at the end of the day, the gay agenda is at its core the belief that homosexuals are intent on turning kids into homosexuals, turning heterosexual men gay, to disrupt the sacred union of men and women, which, if you're an adult male and you're afraid that the gays are going to turn you gay, you probably have more to worry. Probably have more to take into account. If you're that scared that someone's going to change your sexual orientation, you probably have a lot more to consider on a personal level.
Get secure in yourself, please.
Exactly.
Like, please.
That's I have never once been afraid of anyone turning me straight. And maybe I'm just a little more secure in my my homosexuality than a lot of people are in their heterosexuality.
Yeah, and that's not only like a don't be a Karen or a Kevin kind of thing. Like that's like a do that for you, and that goes back to like building a better society and not having that hate.
If someone living their life makes you that angry, you need to look internally, figure out what it is making you tick. Gays want to infiltrate the military to tear down our ability to defend our country. And in all, the gay agenda is a war by homosexuals against everything that conservative America considers to be good and decent. That's at its core, basically, what the idea is behind the gay agenda. Does that kind of make sense as to what the gay agenda is?
The gay agenda. Yes. I have a lot of notes here. There's a lot to lot to unpack here.
Okay.
Like, I just, I always get stuck at the roadblock of why is it anyone else's business? Why is it any concern of yours? And if it's of two consenting adults who are both 110% fully aware of what they are doing and what they are consenting to, why does it matter to you? And I mean that in both the church and state aspect of it.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and I understand, like, our country was built one nation under God. I understand that, but that's also why we had a separation of church and state from the very beginning. And I think all
I don't
too
know why it's such a
often,
hard concept to understand.
those lines
Church
get
and
blurred.
state, there's two separate things, but people have a hard time understanding that it's there for a reason.
Yeah.
Now, as crazy as the gay agenda is, maybe it's not so outlandish. You see, in the February 1987 issue of Gay Community News, a shocking article titled Gay Revolutionary by Michael Swift was published. And it contained, I'll read you an excerpt.
Okay.
Pretty shocking.
Oh boy.
We shall sodomize your sons.
Oh.
Emblems of your feeble masculinity,
Mm.
of your shallow dreams and vulgar lies.
Mm-hmm.
We shall seduce them in your schools, in your dormitories, in your gymnasiums, in your locker rooms, in your sports arenas, in your seminaries, in your youth groups, in your movie theater bathrooms, in your army bunkhouses, in your truck stops, in your all-male clubs, in your House of Congress. Wherever men are with men together, your sons shall become our minions to do our bidding. They will be recast in our image. They will come to crave and adore us.
So basically what happened was, let me just summarize this whole podcast for you, just based off of that one segment. Basically, the guy that wrote this fucked around, and the people for for decades to come found out. What happened.
No, what happened was that was actually a response to the
was it?
agenda.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's camp. It's
oh my God.
It's parody. It's parody. It's satire.
My God.
The Gay Community News was obviously poking fun at the idea of this agenda that the gays are going to find heterosexual men and rape them gay.
Jeez, oh Pete. And then they just it was taken. Oh God. Oh,
yeah,
God.
That paragraph I just read you can be found cited by many provocateurs of the gay agenda. Conservative Christians will use that as saying, like, look, they said it.
Oh my God.
They said it. This is proof. I guess not understanding the context of satire.
Well, I mean, we see it a lot now in today's media of people on platforms and everything taking things out of context and using it to fit the narrative that, they want to project onto people. We see that every day. So the fact that
it's a classic case of McCarthyism. McCarthyism is a powerful weapon. If you want to get an agenda, if you want to make some waves, McCarthyism is an excellent tool to utilize, because most people, like I said, 9 out of 10 people will believe if you're saying something in a public forum, obviously you must have proof to back that up.
Mm-hmm.
Joe McCarthy utilized it during the Red Scare. Many people utilize it now to get their agendas across, while it be cancel culture or whatever it may be. A lot of people still, whether or not they want to admit it or not, if someone says something in public or on a public forum, you will assume that they must have something to back it up. Not always the case.
No.
Look to history. So in all honesty, the real gay agenda, at the heart of it, is very simple. And it's shockingly simple. The gay agenda is civil rights and inclusion. It's that simple. To exist without fear of bigotry and violence, to not be seen as less or treated different than anyone else. That is the true gay agenda. But throughout history, that has been misconstrued and other things, and people will take it as something else. But I can assure you, maybe I'm saying it because I don't want you straights to get onto us.
I think you're
but that in a whole is the true gay agenda. The gay agenda, something much darker.
Oh, wow. That was very educational. That was a whole journey. That was amazing.
Took you through history. You got to hear about all these evil queers throughout the history of America and how we're gonna take this country for our own.
It's
any day now. Pride Month is a coming.
It's interesting.
Buckle up.
Yeah, especially if you're in Columbus.
God, yeah.
It's interesting because we can look back at the history, gay history especially, and see how demonized people were for being gay or coming out and being true to themselves and choosing to love who they want to love, which was dangerous at one point in time.
Very much.
And
so.
I mean, talking about this podcast, like, I mean, you get lumped into conspiracies like this just for being you. And now we're in a day and age where that's becoming less, and to be gay is far more celebrated, and really it's encouraged to be you now. So I think it's
at a certain bit, but it's still, even today, it's still, I would say we've made a little progress, but it's just one of those things. Progress comes in small waves.
Oh yeah.
People are afraid of change. You can't have too much rapid change is never good. But little by little, I think things are looking up, but little by little.
Absolutely.
Any day now, the gay agenda will be fully realized. And every straight person listening to this podcast will be gay. I do declare.
Oh boy. We're all in trouble.
Oops, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Erase that portion of the podcast. I can't.
We've let the secrets out.
I can't.
You're not going to be able to leave your house ever again.
Nope.
Never. We're gonna have.
But that was just our little journey. I want to take everyone on here as we get ready for Pride Month. Is the gay agenda, a very hot topic, is something that has been around since forever. I mean, the gay agenda, you can find bits and bobs of it back through Germany, through Greece. There's a lot of different depictions of what the gay agenda in some form is.
Interesting.
But I wanted to focus here on the gay agenda in America. Maybe we'll visit other countries here in a future episode. But I want to talk about the formation of the gay agenda here in America and what is behind it, who are behind it, and how it came to be. And it's not as as a word, the gay agenda can sound kind of ominous, but when you look into it, it's kind of ridiculous. So
yeah. It's it can be triggering too, depending on where you're going.
Absolutely. It's a very triggering term.
Oh yeah,
but it's pretty silly when you look into it.
This was a lot of fun. This was twisty turny, definitely very educational as well. I quite enjoed myself. Yes, I've learned something today.
Yeah, we talk about the gayest conspiracy I can think of to lead us into Pride Month. Pride Month is, of course, here in a couple days. I want to wish all my homosexual conspirators happy Pride Month.
Yay!
And like I said, we're spending our Pride Month this year out at sea. We're setting sail. We're gonna leave land so we don't get sucked up into the gay pride.
We gotta go.
Storm. We gotta go. We gotta kick rocks.
Yep. We gotta leave. We gotta leave.
We're setting sail this summer. Cult Talk Conspiracy Summer at Sea is taking place through June, July, and August. And it's gonna be all sea-based conspiracies.
Very excited.
So you can hashtag question everything before you get back in the water. Next one is mine. You're gonna get a double dose of me here back to back, as we had Bailey previously do her trilogy, Deceptively Dead.
Yeah.
She did a great episode on Elvis.
Yes. Long live the king.
Ominous passing.
I mean, maybe
or not so much of the king, the other king, not Bruce Campbell, the other one.
Yeah, Bruce Campbell never dies. No,
never.
But
I'm going to be doing our next file, the kickoff, our maiden voyage for Cult Talk Conspiracy Summer at Sea. I'm going to be talking about maybe one of the most famous ships of all time, Titanic.
Yes. Oh, such a good movie.
Yeah, but it was a real life thing.
Was it?
It was.
Wait, you mean Leonardo DiCaprio wasn't? Oh, wow. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it was based on a true story.
We think. I mean,
We think we know the story of Titanic, but maybe it's a lot different than what James Cameron and Leonardo DiCaprio showed us on screen.
there was definitely.
Maybe the true story of the Titanic is a whole lot more mysterious, maybe a little conspiratory. And we'll dive into that here in Cult Talk Conspiracy Summer at Sea.
Yes. We're going to find out if
File 020.
Yes, in File 020, we're going to find out if two people could have actually fit on that raft. We're going to test it.
That's gonna be the whole. That's the whole episode. Yeah, I'm gonna be doing an hour-long podcast on the conspiracy that Rose could have saved Leo at the end.
She was. Yeah, we're going to do a lot of math, a lot of measurements.
Yes, a lot of math, a lot of measurements. Can you believe it's almost 20 episodes?
Oh my gosh.
20 real episodes. We've done obviously more than that with the specials, but
yes.
20 official episodes.
It's so, oh my gosh. It's growing.
Yeah, we're coming up on the year. We're coming up on our year here soon. That's going to be pretty exciting.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe it's already been almost a year. It's crazy.
It's crazy. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening here on this special Pride edition of Cult Talk Conspiracy, the Gay Agenda. It was a wild ride. It was super fun. I'm glad we got to talk about this and give you guys a little backstory on this very triggering concept that is the gay agenda and where it came from. You can find us, and maybe you can let us know how evil we are for backing up this conspiracy and promoting this agenda here at Cult Talk Net. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook,
so
YouTube,
proud.
anywhere.
So proud. At Cult Talk Net. Come argue with us. So like, no.
Come argue.
Like, no.
Or be a decent person and just,
and share your beliefs, because
share your beliefs. We're open to everything. We're all about inclusion here at Cult Talk Net. Unless you're a piece of shit, not so much. But
even if you're a piece of shit, I want to know why you stand behind those piece of shit views, and like at least then, if you have good reasoning, I can respect it. Like, yeah,
exactly. Yeah, let us know why you believe those beliefs, and then stop listening. And but you can do that at Cult Talk Net, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and comments, youtube.com/Cult Talk Net, where we post a video version of this podcast, which is nowhere near as elaborate as Cult of Lore, which comes out the first and third Thursday of every month. And they release a very elaborate, very impressive video version of their podcast, youtube.com/Cult Talk Net. Cult of Campbell comes out on Mondays sometimes. And that can be found, again, at Cult Talk Net, where you find your podcast, Cult of Campbell. Make sure you guys leave us a review. We'd like to hear from you guys. Give us a star rating on Spotify if you listen there. That's pretty much it.
That is.
For Cult Talk Conspiracy, Out of the Shadows, or Out of the Closet, the history of the gay agenda in America, File 019.
Oh my gosh, so many. Fabulous. Wonderful. Beautiful.
It was a fun one. I've been Ty.
I've been Bailey.
Happy Pride Month. And as always, question everything.